And that's pretty much all of the forms we would likely encounter if we were set up in a shelter or had to go out in an ops center to provide communications. Now, instead of having to go into those lists, one of the things you can do is pick up to 5 of your favorite message templates and put them across here. Now, for example, I put it in the IC213, the ARRL radiogram, and STAR. So instead of having to go into the list, all I have to do is click it, and it comes up. It's very easy to set up. You select, and you can say, okay, I don't need that one anymore, I need to add this one. You can move, delete, add as you need be. But once again, in terms of WinLink, if you were already, well, I'll ask the question, how many people are doing digital right now? Not right now, but do it at home, okay. If you have your digital station set up and operating, setting up WinLink is a piece of cake. You download the program, register your station, they send you a very long registration code. They send it to you via email. Print that out, put it in the safety deposit box, wherever. They will ask for a donation. They don't require it, but you can, if you feel free, you can give them a donation. And you can set up WinLink and it should go through very nicely. I try to check in on WinLink every couple of days just to make sure the address that I'm using and that the RMSs I'm using typically are still up and running. So I do it about every other day. And occasionally I'll send an email to Terry, Dwayne, whoever, just to make sure the system is working. If you have any questions about email, or WinLink rather, there is a WinLink working group, and also they have a very, very comprehensive online manual that you can read and get familiar with it. So, having shown you all this, in theory, afterwards Dwayne has got his HT set up. He's going through VHF WinLink to, was it WD5 or W5DRO?
-4.
Yeah. Don Oshie's digipeater out on Channel 4's tower, and he'll demonstrate that for you after the meeting. We can, we've got good connectivity on VHF, even from here inside, so that gives you a sense of what WinLink is capable of. Yes?
So is it just, are you sending out on VHF or UHF or?
I'm HF.
Oh, you can send on HF?
You can set it on HF, VHF. VHF is kind of considered last mile.
Okay.
In other words, you're inside the disaster zone, you're sending it out to another station who is outside the disaster zone. They pick it up and probably put it on HF if need be, or put it directly into the system.
How do you know if they received it or not received it?
Generally, when you send a WinLink message, and it tells you, I'm sending, and it assigns a random number to it, you sit there and back and forth. WinLink, by the way, is packet. Don't overdrive your audio. In other words, don't rank it all the way up. Take it back a little bit, because bad audio on packet decreases the potential of throughput. Anyway, it says, I'm sending message number so-and-so. Sit there and wait. Finally, it says, boom, traffic complete. Because it's a error correct, not really forward error correcting, but it
Confirmation.
It says, it confirms I've got the traffic and it's done.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if you want to, you could send yourself a courtesy copy back to yourself to make sure it gets done and gets in the system. But you'll see when you send it once it's done, now if it doesn't do it, it just says connection failed, and you have to start over.
You can see an example of that message he's talking about over
Yeah.
there on his screen.
Dwayne's got his setup over there, and it's operating VHF,
Screen is the
WinLink,
same.
and then you're also, there is a new, I don't know what you call it, Vera protocol.
File compression
Yeah.
software, basically.
It's called Vera. It was developed by a Spanish amateur radio operator, and it compresses your text message down to where it transmits a lot faster. You can use a demo copy of it. However, a lot of the RMS stations are now saying, instead of you having 1,000 minutes, because you're not using a registered Vera protocol, you've only got 10 minutes. Some of them are saying, you're not using registered Vera, we're not gonna let you connect. I know that's rather snotty of them, but that's life. You can buy a license for Vera for, what is it going now, 65?
I think so, yeah. There's a group purchase thing too.
Yeah, if you get a group of up to 10 people who wanna buy a Vera license, the price drops to 50.
But the good thing about that is if you buy for Vera FM, you also get the Vera HF
Yeah.
in that bundle.
You get the whole package. You get HF, you get, VHF, the whole 9 yards. So you don't have to worry about buying a license for this or a license for that. And Dwayne will show you how you can select between HF and VHF. It's very simple. Terry, you had a question.
Well, if you think it appropriate, you said, you brought up the form and said, and send it off, you might pull up that form and show how you send it off, because there's that, you have to post, it's not just like email where you say send, you've gotta do other things.
Yeah,
If you think it appropriate, if not, then move on.
You see that?
when you complete a WinLink message, that's a good point. Unlike email where, okay, I'm done, click, send, zoom, it goes. Doesn't work like that. What you have to do is click right here where it says post to outbox. That sets the message that you composed to the outbox. When you connect with an RMS, it looks and says, do I have any traffic for you? Nope. You have traffic for me? Yes, I do. It's in the outbox, and it starts to transmit. So you might have 1, 2, half a dozen messages lined up in the outbox, ready to go. Typical message, if you've got good connectivity, 2 to 3 minutes. And that's something else you have to emphasize to your folks if you're out at a shelter, whatever. Again, this is not AT&T fiber. It's gonna take a while for these messages to get out, but they're gonna get out.
If I can elaborate just a little bit, when you post it to the outbox, the reason for that step is the file itself is essentially a comma delimited. Now, it may have other delimiters, but it's a comma delimited file. It is not the form. The forms are stored on your computer. All that is sent is that, essentially that comma delimited file with a short blip that says what's the form number. The dial that comes into your machine, it looks up that form number, and then it parses that comma delimited file into the form, so you see the completed form, but that form doesn't go over the radio. And posting it to the outbox, it takes that comma delimited file, it takes that form you filled out and splits it off into the name of the form and the delimited piece of data. So all that gets sent is just the data file. That's why your machine gets updated all the time with new forms. It stores that form number.
Now on field day, we're gonna talk about field day in a few minutes, we send a radiogram from the field day site to the section manager. And we set it up on the amateur radio, ARRL, radiogram format, and we ship that out to the section manager, and it goes to his email address. And that gives us, I think it's 100 points, bonus points, but we send out that section manager message, every year, and we use the radiogram format. Yes, Clarence?
You talked about the ICS 213, how about the ICS 214 form?
Let's look. Now, this is the 214, the activity log. What you're doing here is basically saying these are the people that, who are at our shelter, command post, whatever. It's just reporting who is on duty, what their position is, and where they're from.